Hello and welcome. So now that we have our supplies and we know how to mix colors, we can actually start painting on our CD. So what we want to do is always paint from the back forward. So that means I want to paint my background, then my fish, then my bubbles, and then my people, or even my people and then my bubbles. So I want to think what is furthest back in my artwork, and I want to paint that first, which for most people is going to be their background. Now I would like my color to go from light to dark blue. And I can confidently paint over anything that I know that I can paint again. So my bubbles, I can paint over those and easily paint them again. If I want, I could even paint over my fish, but instead I'm going to leave my fish. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I have enough paint on my brush, and you want to make sure that it is a good amount of paint. Look at how I have that like stiff peak. You want to make sure that it's not just a little bit and you wipe it all off, because you want to have enough paint to actually move around. And since I'm starting at the lightest, I put a piece of paper underneath so I'm not getting it all over my work area. And it actually does a really great job of covering that background of the CD. Now notice, and I don't know if you can, I'll try to move a little closer, that even with my painting, I can see some of my pencil through there. So that's really nice. If you feel like your paint is a little too thick, you can add a little water to your brush. The looser you make your paint by adding water, the more sheer it's going to be. So it's up to you. So I'm going to keep painting. Now I do want this to eventually start changing to a darker color, but I'm just going to take my light color first, and I'm really going to give it a nice base coat. If you've noticed, I've been using the same brush all the time. I am impartial. I love some brushes more than others, and I love my square tip brushes. Now, if I go a little into this silhouette, that's okay, because it is a silhouette. It'll just be painted black. But I don't want to lose my shape completely. And I think I want to mimic this almost round shape that's going on. So I'm going to make a little line to where I want that to end. And use the rest of that color. Now, I want to start making it gradually darker. So what I can do, always with a clean brush, clean my brush, wipe it off. I can grab a little bit more of this color, and I can start mixing it in. And I'm only going to do little sections at a time, because it's only going to get gradually darker. And then I'm going to want to add some more. So now I can take this color and start adding it. If my paint's still wet, I can even blend with the paint that's already there. Give it nice wispy vibes like the water would change. Now you do want to make sure that you're not just painting on the white part of the CD. Notice I went off of that and I left a little ridge, and that's okay. I want to fully embrace that this is a CD. And I'm going to go ahead and start spreading that color out a little bit in preparation for my next color. So now that I have that one, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. Move this up a little bit so you can see it better. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead with a clean brush, always rinse my brush, wipe it off, and grab another scoop of my dark blue and start mixing in. So I want it just to be a little bit darker. If you would like, you can do this in separate areas each time so that you have a variation of each color. You don't have to, but it's up to you, just in case you'd have to go back and do any touch-ups. I'm going to make sure that I don't have to do any touch-ups, so it's okay if I mix over that color. It depends what you are painting. Grab a little bit more. Always make sure you have some paint on the brush. It makes your life easier. If it starts to look wispy, you don't have enough paint. Now, if you notice, I'm starting to get some brush strokes, and I want to make sure that my paint dries in between. So I'm not going to go back up to the top. Instead, I'm going to keep working my way down, covering up those bubbles because I don't really need them. Working around my figure, but making sure that my background is nice and neat. Now I'm painting my figures in black, so it's okay if I cover them a little bit. If you're painting over something like my fish that are eventually going to be white, you're going to want to make sure that you leave some space and that you don't paint into them, because it's going to be harder to cover things up with darker colors. Now I do want to go again into a darker color, so I'm going to clean my brush. Always mixing with a clean brush. Grab another scoop and start mixing that in. So to create that ombre effect, I just make sure that each time I mix a little bit more of that darker color. Ooh, yeah. Again, I'm going to touch up my fish. So I'm just leaving an area so that I know where they go and what they look like. I'm getting a little streaky, so I'm going to come back and grab more paint. Sometimes the paint will slide because it is on this plastic CD, even though there is that white coating. I also want to come up here and make sure I can blend my color. I don't want it to look choppy unless you want it to look choppy on purpose. So make sure whichever effect you're getting is purposeful. And notice right now I'm just doing the background, working from the back forward. This is going to help me create a well-balanced piece. Now this is where it gets a little bit harder. I have a little spot right here with my fish that I can hold. Always holding to make sure that it doesn't move. There, it moved a little bit. Maybe I can put it on her. There we go. You don't want to touch your wet paint. If I accidentally cover some fish, I can always come back and bring them back to life. I'm tilting my brush because one side is bigger than the other. So if I need a skinnier brush, I turn it to use the skinnier side. Sorry, just had to push my cat off the counter. And continue this all of the way. Making sure I get my edges and blend the colors that I need to. And now I have a nice blue fade from the top all the way down to the bottom. If I need to go in and change some of it, I always can. I can clean my brush. I still have some of my lightest color, so I can even come back with that and start blending some of that in. Now your goal for the first day is going to be to start and work on that background. So if you don't get it all done in one class, that's okay. You will have other class time to work on it too. I look forward to see what you create and how you create. Bye guys. Have a great day.